All right, so we're now going to start with MUN 104 resolutions, where we're going to learn about the writing part of MUN and everything that comes with it. So with resolutions, I'm going to teach what they are. MUN 104. Sorry about the echo. We're going to teach what they are after we get a drop of practice, is what we did last time, with the purpose of us reaching that step and then understanding how it works. So as a quick, for those changing your name, this is how you do it. So we're going to go again through the rules of procedure and remember how MUN works. Also, for those who were missing last week, we're going to go over what we did last time, but a lot faster. And then we're going to get to the writing part, which is, I would say, the second scary bump for students who are doing Model UN. The first one, as we know, is, oh no, I have to read a lot in English. And the second one is, I don't know how to write these resolutions or resolutions or whatever, these things in English. So writing the resolution is much less complex than students feel, especially in the initial stages. Later, they can be more complicated. But in the most basic level, it's just writing down our idea from our opening speech, our call to action of how to do it, writing it down in simple instruction form. And we're going to see how that's going to work today. Okay, so as a reminder of the procedures, or I would say for those who weren't here learning the procedures, we're going to go through a simplified version of the MUN rules. In the rules of procedure, there are 5 parts. The first is roll call, opening statements, debate, resolutions, and voting. We're going to speed through parts 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to then start with part 4, where I'm going to give instruction of how it works, and we're going to get more time to focus on that. Okay, so the first thing we have in any MUN is roll call, where we see who is present or present and voting. So as we know from last time, roll call is taken at the beginning of every session. Countries say present or present and voting. Present and voting means the delegates will vote either yes or no. There is no abstention. Present delegates can also abstain. Okay, so I said when unsure, because present and voting, it shows confidence and certainty. It's better to say present and voting. I recommend you have all your students just say present and voting. So let us have roll call. All right, by the way, okay, cool. Abir, I'll just change your name to France Abir. And it syncs up alphabetically. For classrooms, as I've said, just have the students arrange themselves alphabetically. Not only is it easier for us for roll call or for any type of drill, it's also much easier for them to find each other. This makes a very big difference for students in a classroom when they're looking for, France, rather than them sitting where they are. So I would say always resist the urge for they're like, we're fine where we are, we'll be okay. Having them rearrange alphabetically is much better for them and better for the committee and the simulation running as a whole. I've also done, reverse alphabetical like that. Also, there needs to be some kind of order for them to find each other. Okay, so let us begin with roll call. Please say present or present and voting. Brazil.
Present and voting.
Okay, this is alphabetical, by the way, so just know that this is B we're going to see. Okay, Canada.
Present and voting.
Chad.
Present and voting.
France. France.
Present and voting.
Japan.
Present and voting.
Jordan. Jordan. Jordan, are you here? All right, I guess Jordan is not present and voting at the moment. Somalia.
Present and voting.
Syria.
Present and voting.
Saudi Arabia.
Present and voting.
South Korea.
Present.
Turkey.
Present and voting.
United States of America.
Present and voting.
United Kingdom.
Present and voting.
Wonderful. We have 12 delegates present. Simple majority is 7. And that's enough to pass something. Okay, great. So seeing as we have 13 delegates, this is quorum also would be majority plus 1. So now that we have roll call and we know who's here and everyone pretty much is present and voting, we can do another roll call after the break and people can change their position. We're now moving on to opening statements, which we have. Yes.
Yeah, it was. Can you please not touch my stuff?
Sorry, what is there a question or is this? Okay, not sure if that, was there a question? Okay, that was the mic slip. Okay, next is opening statements. This is what we work on our students to get ready, where they give their first speech. You tell them it's only 100 words. As long as their clash is clear, what they want to do in one sentence, really everything else is secondary for bringing them to the first place where they feel comfortable speaking in English. So they didn't get really like, it's 100 words, most of which are, you know, fit into the format very comfortably. But at the minimum, they need that first sentence, which will give them the direction to fill out the rest of their speech and their entire strategy of what they're doing, which is what we're going to work on more next week when we learn about research. Because when we get to research with our students, we'll know CIA opening statements. And after today, we'll know resolutions. So they know what they're looking for. This is very different from telling students to research and, you know, swim in the open internet. Information is more available now than it has ever been. And for, you know, people, whether they're native speakers or English is their 5th language, the amount of data is overwhelming if you don't know what to look for. So this is why we want to guide them through it. So with opening statements, we're now going to do opening statements. These are the first speeches that are given. If everyone has their opening statement ready, we're going to go through them. Again, just your clash at this point in time. We had some really good speeches last week. But for the sake of this drill, we're not going to get into it. What I would like us to practice again, because I don't expect anyone here to remember what we did last week. I ask again that everyone make themselves a flow chart. Let's get some practice using flow charts. Flow charts, for those who were with us last week, are these pages where we have our students write their country, write down the clash of the other students, and can we work together, plus minus question mark. By the way, this is an excellent drill if you want to give your class any type of yes, no question to follow. When they're taking notes, they pay attention. I have almost never seen a student who stopped taking notes and didn't see themselves daydreaming and out of it within a minute or two. Clash information action makes speeches very easy to understand and clear to listen to, but it does not make the speeches easy to remember. It's more data and information that people are used to in a more clear form. These pages are really lifesavers. So I'd recommend for everyone, whether it's in a Word doc or in an Excel or on paper for yourselves, please have paper for yourself. We're only going to be listening to the clashes now. So all you need is the country, clash, can we work, can we not, and then a question mark. So we can see here, North Korea wants to give all the food. Norway says the food without conditions. They can work together. Also, another thing today, feel liberal with the question marks. If you're not sure what someone else said, that's completely fine. Okay, like right now, we just want their first sentence. Like, dear delegates, clash, done. So if you have a question mark, it's fine. We'll have time for that later. Okay, so let's go on with opening statements. I'm going to call upon countries. This is alphabetical again. So we're going to be starting with Brazil and going through everyone else. Just your clash as best you can. If you resubmitted your opening speech assignment, then better to have it from the later one. But like really, it is all fine. And when you do this with students, because they're going to have time to work on their documents and to work on their solutions, it's okay if they're not as clear or as sharp as they would after the opening statements drill. So when you're teaching resolutions, our goal is to work on writing their ideas as an organized format. So I would recommend less focus on this being as sharp as it would be for the opening speech drill. Of course, you know your students, and you should adapt this to what you feel will work for your class. These disciplines are very flexible on where you put the focus, but I would say when you come to introduce writing their ideas instead of researching them or reading them, less focus on the other steps and most support when it comes to writing. Okay, so we're now going to have our opening statements. Brazil, you have the floor.
Okay, so I actually didn't change my speech from last week.
Completely fine.
Okay, so can I just reread it, or
Yeah,
you want?
just read it. Dear delegates and your class.
Okay, dear delegates, Brazil wants to support North Korea and send food aid to the country. North Korea, as a poor country, is entitled to receive help.
That's
However,
it.
Okay.
So let's say you want to send food aid to North Korea, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so now, by the way, for those of us, anyone can you tell us, is this a good clash?
I'm not sure with conditions or not.
Exactly. Okay, so so by the way, this is completely fair, and this is a good example to see. So for us, I'll just tell Brazil, Deborah, we have no idea if you mean with conditions or without or other. We don't know. You didn't put it in the clash, so this is a question mark for others. This means for later, you will need to clarify this more. Like, I know that you have an opinion, but this is why the opening line is so important, because right now, food aid to North Korea, but conditions or not, these leaves the people with a question mark. However, I would say this, actually more specifically, those who want food to go to North Korea, conditions and unconditions, could put sort of a question mark plus, because we do see the food should go to North Korea. So it's not to say it's a complete question mark, but where she stands will need to be clarified. And this is something you could ask in a follow-up speech later. Okay, thank you very much, Brazil. We are now moving on. Next country, Canada, you have the floor.
Delegates, Canada is in favor of giving all the foods to North Korea without condition within 1 month.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you very much.
I've nailed it.
Listen, for that scale, like we don't. What?
That was the first time.
Yeah, this is the first time you gave the speech.
I'm learning. I'm evolving.
Yeah, it's really great, and I would say this sort of added above. I'd say above expectation, because all food unconditionally is solidly shows where you stand. But in a month is even giving more detail. So if the final draft would give the food in a month, you would get much more credit for being. That's not just giving it them the food. This is expediting. So
and
really
I
good.
changed my mind, so it's also something important.
Yeah, no, very good. This was a great example of a very clear clash. Like anything else you would have, at least in that regard, is a bonus. We know where you stand. Good job. Thank you, Canada. Chad, you have the floor.
Just a second, let me upload the file. Dear delegates, we should give the food to North Korea as soon as possible with only one condition. I think that some of the food should be delivered to our country. As most of you know, Chad is the most poorest country, and the food would be very helpful.
That's already beyond clash.
Okay.
Very good. The one thing I'd say to be more specific, clarify later, is how much food to each. Because that was missing in the clash. Because do you want Chad to get 90% or 10%? We don't know. So that's one to clarify. But again, overall, very, very good. We understand you want North Korea to food, but Chad to also get food. Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to France. France, you have the floor.
Can you give me a couple of minutes, please?
Okay, everyone, please find your speeches and have them ready. We're doing this alphabetically. Abir, as soon as you are ready, say, hey, Daniel, between a speech, I am ready.
That's fine. Okay.
Wonderful. Moving on next. Japan, you have the floor.
Japan is in favor of giving food to North Korea on condition that North Korea gradually minimizes nuclear weapon development.
Okay, so thank you very much. Very good. So this is what this now the basic, because I heard your speech last time, the specifics of how could have been included in the clash, because what does that mean? 10% to win. I know you have it as the next sentence, but in this case it should be there, but also very, very good. Jordan, I think, is still not here, right?
Danielle, I can do it now.
You can? All right, France.
I am here. Daniel, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, you didn't.
Yes,
say
earlier the
roll call.
principal called me, so I had to answer. for a
Okay,
minute.
all right,
Sorry.
fine. So wait, so first France and then Jordan.
Okay, that's fine. So fellow delegates, the topics that will be discussed in this forum are of utmost importance and therefore require our full collaboration and attention. Due to France's foreign policy, the delegation is in full support to give food to Somalia and Syria regarding to France's policy of full provision and of humankind.
All right, thank you very much. Your clash was there. There was a lot of opening, which was not necessary, but the idea of Somalia and Syria is there. Very nice. For everyone, plus minus question mark, you now have a different range. Continuing with Jordan. Jordan, you have the floor.
Thank you. So we believe that 240,000 tons of food should not be given to North Korea, but to Somalia instead. North Korea, despite the fact that GDP per capita is only $1,500, and the people could definitely use the food.
Okay, Jordan, thank you very much. We're not going through full speeches. We just wanted the clash, but
Okay.
really good. Okay, very clear. Thank you very much, Jordan. We are now going to continue with, we had Japan, we had Jordan. Okay, now we're with all the letter S's. Somalia, you have the floor.
My country, Somalia, believes we should immediately send food aid to North Korea unconditionally.
All right, thank you. Let's go with Syria.
1 minute, here it is. Syria is in favor of giving all the food to North Korea under no conditions.
All right, thank you very much. Saudi Arabia, you have the floor.
Distinguished delegates, we should give all the food to Yemen.
All right, thank you very much. South Korea. You have the floor. South Korea, we're having some trouble hearing you.
Okay, we should give food to North Korea with conditions.
All right, what are the
Okay.
conditions?
No conditions, without any conditions, unconditionally.
Okay. Well, for the next drill, South Korea should have some conditions as the country directly in danger, but for today,
I know.
I'm just saying, it's like, oh, this is like,
No, I know everything that's going on politics, but still, we're talking about people.
all right.
Okay.
Fine. I'll say for now. But like, if the students like start just saying the same call to action to each other, completely fine. This is all good.
Yeah,
saying,
that's fine. Yeah,
but from
no
teachers,
problem.
I would say, at least a little, that like this is not as representative of reality. Okay, Turkey,
Okay.
you have the floor. Turkey, are you here? Yafit?
Turkey is busy with the spies.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, I had some kids going around here and I was distracted. Okay, Turkey.
Dear delegates, Turkey votes that half the food should go to North Korea on condition that they stop nuclear testing. The other half should go to Somalia. If North Korea does not cease nuclear testing, all the food should go to Somalia.
All right.
Sorry, where does the other half goes to?
Somalia.
Thanks.
All right, very nice. But that was a great clash. Like nothing is left in the air. Very clear. What is the condition again?
Hold on, that they
Or you didn't say it in the
stop.
opening.
No, I did on condition that they stop nuclear testing. Like yeah.
All right, beautiful. That was like I just saw that I had like an extra space in my notes. You did so fast that I didn't catch
Okay,
up.
sorry.
No, that was great. That was like on the condition they stop nuclear testing, half them after Somalia. If not all of Somalia, perfect. That was a perfect clash. Like nothing is left. Like the call to action described the how, but really, really good. United States, you have the floor.
Okay. United States firmly believes that food should be given to North Korea with conditions to minimize nuclear weapons. The food will be given to Somalia.
All right, UK, you have the floor.
Thank you. Dear delegates, We should send the food assistance to North Korea on the condition that distribution is supervised by a team of the World Food Program. Otherwise, the aid should go to Somalia, where food security is once again under threat.
All right, wonderful. Okay, so we see here now for those with the flow charts, which hopefully is everybody, let's count it out and see if we reach the same number. All right, so let's look how many delegates, don't say the answers yet, let's count. How many want to give the food unconditionally? How many want to give the food with conditions? How many want to give it to somebody else? Okay, so let's look to ourselves. I'm going to give us 30 seconds. Let's count through it and let's see what we have. And how many question marks?
Seven without conditions.
Wait. Let's
Sorry.
okay,
Sorry.
So let's start with does everyone have the numbers ready, or do we need more time to count?
The opposite, as I said.
Does anyone need more time? If not, then we're going to begin discussion. Okay, great. So let's see some numbers. So how many want to give the food unconditionally?
3.
4.
3
Okay, who-
by 4.
Okay. Wait. So who has 3? Raise their hands.
Somalia.
Wait. I don't want us to talk about this. This is about how students track. It's not a discussion. It's okay. Who says 3? Raise their hands. Who says 4? Raise their hands. Who has a number besides 3 or 4?
But it's as of last week, so it's a higher number. We were more.
So it changes between the reason we're staying with this topic, and I recommend this for students, is with the same countries and the same topic, we're able to work on different things. Sometimes they'll say we want to change topic or country, but then they have to research it from scratch. So we'd rather this topic, when we teach it in schools, we teach it for the first 6 sessions to learn the MUN basics, and then we move to our next topic. So that's we're going to do something for this, for the Talmud. We're going to keep this topic the whole time, just so we learn all the elements. So we have 3, we have 4. Flora, do you have a different number?
I think 3 is, I think 4 with condition. That's
But both numbers are fine. Like they're I'm just like right now we're seeing what we catch. Like when we do this with our classes, again, this is like for all of us tracking, this helped us keep focus. We also didn't listen to 1-minute speeches. Here we were listening to 10-second clashes. Okay, very good.
Without conditions and the rest with conditions. That's what I mean.
Right, so that's so fine. So looking at unconditional, we have 3 and we have 4. Given that there are 13 countries present, this is a significant number. This is close to a third. Okay, let's move on to how many have conditions. Let's see, what number do we have for conditions? Anyone?
5.
5.
7.
Anyone have any other number for conditions?
I have 7.
7. Does anyone have 6?
I wrote the name of each country.
Okay, great.
So I don't know how it happened.
This is all fine. Like this will happen. Pretend like we're in a classroom with a group of students. They're going to look, first of all, if they have 5 or 7, that means they were listening enough to catch that much. So it's great, whatever way it goes. Like this is a win. Okay, so we have 5, we have 7. Who has 5? Raise their hands.
Wait.
Who has 6? Raise their hands. Who has 7? Raise their hands.
I have 3. I don't know why,
3.
but on conditions.
3. It's all good. Michael, how many do you have?
So again, I counted last week. I made a mega list. I had like conditions on nuclear program plus minus.
Okay,
conditions
so you're basing it off last week's list.
So yeah, as of today, I didn't count. I thought it would be the same. So I realize now it's not.
So, okay, good lesson. By the way, you can have this from week to week, but I will say when this drill started, many more of us were for unconditionally giving food. The options we've seen the food going to, we've had like rock stars every week switch. Chad was a big rock star. Now it's Somalia. So don't count on things necessarily being the same. Great for the mega list. I would love us to see it later.
Sure.
And it could be modified here. But okay, so we have 5, we have 7. Does anyone else have a number which is not 5 or 7? South Korea said 3. Anyone else? All right, cool. All right, now let's go for the other. Who wants the food not to go or with conditions? How many do we have there?
2.
Okay, so Somalia has 2, 2, 3. Okay, who has 2? Raise your hands. Who has 3? Raise your hands. Wonderful. How many question marks do we have? Like complete question marks. Do we have any? Nope. You're right, Glenn. There are no complete question marks. Everyone here, even if we like take, for example, like 'cause some of the speeches, like the information was brought a few lines down. But even if there was a question mark, like with Brazil's speech, we still know the food should go to North Korea. So she still falls into camp 1 or 2. So we're not left completely in the dark here. Now, again, if we're on the border of having a majority, like the conditional group. Now, again, the conditions are not the same conditions. Can these conditions coexist? This is a good question. So what we're going to do right now, with this in mind, we see how within 15 minutes, we went through roll call, we're engaged, we already know where things stand. And as participants, we have the challenge of, flowchart bingo, seeing where the majority lies. It seems right now, like timeout, let's step out now as educators, looking at the scenario, we see that for our students, the conditions group seems to have the best chance at a majority. However, conditions may vary. Some are stricter, some are less. And some conditions are with food supervision, and some conditions have to do with nuclear weapons. So we don't yet know if they're in the same camp. But for those who are tracking, this group seems to potentially be able to get a majority. However, if they can't agree on, let's say, the alternative country or something else, there is a place for both the other camp and the conditional camp to come in. The unconditional group, where we see 3 or 4, and the other group where we see a similar number. So right now, everything is to play for. And this is where the resolution stage is going to make such a difference. So with this, I want to talk a little bit about what resolutions are, and then we're going to jump into the unmoderated caucus and start working on writing our resolutions. Okay, so just to quickly remember from last week what happens next in an MUN simulation. We have debate. Debate is combined of 3 different pieces that we really sped over, but one of them is called the general speakers list. The general speakers list is where students can talk about whatever they want. There's something called a moderated caucus, where we focus the discussion, and an unmoderated caucus where you move around and lobby freely. And last week, we did the moderated caucus, where we spoke about our ideas together and engaged each other. And we did the unmod, where we worked together in breakout rooms and start to come up with the ideas that we're going to write. So we can imagine a discussion where countries will support why the food should be given unconditionally, but more likely countries will try to appeal to the conditional group, because what is certain is the unconditioned group and the alternative group do not have a majority as things stand. Like we all see that, right? Like there's no majority. These groups will try or should try to sway the middle one way or the other to be able to get the majority. Okay, so moving past all of this, we're going to come back to this soon. When we get to resolutions, this is writing down our ideas. So we're going to learn what resolutions are conceptually. We're then going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to practice what we're going to learn. Okay,
question, Daniel.
Yes.
I'm sorry, just going back to moderated versus unmoderated caucusing.
Yeah.
So what we did in the breakout rooms was unmoderated, right?
Correct.
You said we did moderated, but did we do it, or
so
what does
the
it look like?
speaking we did was moderated caucus without the I made it a little more flowing for us to get through it quickly, but I'll reiterate the difference.
When you say okay, because moderated,
I'll go over them again.
Okay.
So general speakers list, students can speak about whatever they want. There's no limit to the number of speeches, and they can just keep getting back on the list. This is usually the first speeches you have afterwards where you establish what it is that you are talking about. And this is something which, we can practice when we sort of have our first follow-up speeches. This is what they are. Then we have the moderated caucus where a specific topic is chosen. So a moderated caucus, for example, it needs to have a specific topic, and then you have the total time, individual time, and the topic of discussion. For example, the United States motions for a moderated caucus of 5 minutes, 30-second speaker time on the topic of giving food to countries not developing nuclear weapons. Okay, and this is what we did with the remainder of the time, where like I didn't have us offer the motions for this, but everybody spoke, they had their opinion and passed it back between them. And we'll get some time to practice this a little further down. Like we're going to practice the general speakers list to mod more. What was most important though with last week and what we're going to do today is the unmoderated caucus, because it's not speaking, it's us talking over each other and yelling if we do or don't. And order between the students and communication when the teacher completely steps out, when the chair completely steps out, this is our negotiation. Last week, we just negotiated and I pulled together the writing. This week, we're going to practice simplified writing ourselves. So that's where it falls into place. The general speakers list and the moderated is the speaking, which we have been doing every week so far until today. And the unmod is independent lobbying time. All the delegates in a physical classroom get out of their seats and walk around, and we mostly stay quiet unless they ask us questions. And this is the time to build coalitions and start writing the ideas. All right, so that's what we're going to be learning about right now. Okay, so I hope that clarifies anything that I may not have illustrated enough before. So for us, after the opening statements, they can speak about whatever they want in the general speakers list, or they can vote on speaking about a specific topic in the moderated caucus. But the unmoderated caucus, in contrast, is something that they don't do anywhere else in school, like unless you give them independent working time to cooperate. But this is something which doesn't organically exist in the classroom, and it really requires of the students, first of all, like a level of working together and self-discipline, which they do pretty well pretty quickly. And it also is a place where they find that their interpersonal skills that don't help them with essay exams suddenly come into play. And I found students who are not as confident in their research or language skills all of a sudden becoming very confident when it comes to having someone else coming to listen and to vote for them. So this is a great place for some students who may not have felt as rewarded by class before to be rewarded in this section. So it's something to definitely take into account. All right, so let's move on to, okay, any questions on this so far? We can jump into resolutions.
So I have
Yes.
For example, what group of countries should I join? Only countries that they suggest to give food to North Korea unconditionally or not?
So this is already a strategy question that I don't mind speaking about a little more later, but at the moment I would say this for Somalia, as your idea is giving food unconditionally in North Korea, even though some other countries want to give the food to you, you like right now it seems that both the unconditional camp and the other camp would try to work with the condition group to see which way they can be swayed. Because if, for example, some food goes to Somalia, even if Somalia doesn't want it, it doesn't matter what the delegate of Somalia says. By the way, this is something very important for Model UN. A student in the room can decide they speak for the country, but if the country's policy online or somewhere else is different, significantly different, then someone else can point that out. The country's position is what you find online, not what somebody makes up. You could have the delegate of North Korea say, I completely renounce my nuclear program, or the United States saying, we're going to give you some of our nuclear weapons. That doesn't mean that it's going to happen. For the same reason here, Somalia can say, I don't want the food. But if the rest of the committee says, no, you're getting the food, then the countries who offered Somalia to get the food, like Jordan, like Turkey, like the UK, this is your credit for pushing policy forward. And it doesn't matter that Delegate Somalia doesn't want it. You guys had the idea. You got the majority. Somalia gets the foods. This is a win for yourselves as diplomats. and this could be by the representative of politics in the world that a country could say that. So, and this is something which is helpful to remember, because sometimes our students will come to us and say, hey, someone's off policy. That will happen. We're dealing with, people who, especially in beginner committees, it's sometimes harder to take a position of a country who's doing something which isn't nice, even if it is completely accurate and representative of what is being done in the world. So for this reason, it's important for us as teachers to remember this: human error can happen in Model UN just like anywhere else. And if someone's off policy, tell your student, okay, they're off policy. Hopefully the judges in the room will recognize that. The judges in the room generally will recognize that. They will recognize if a country is against freedom of speech and the delegate is advocating for freedom of speech, they will see that. If, let's say, Japan right now wants to unconditionally give all the food to North Korea, the judges will see that. And that will be, so that's for the chairs to decide. For our students, we need to reassure them and say, don't worry, you be the best you that you can, and we'll figure out a little bit later. Okay, so given right now that we're getting close to our break time, and I don't want to do all of the, class so close, I'd rather have proper time. I would suggest that we take a break early. We start now, we take our break, and then we come back and learn and practice. So we can take a 10-minute break or a 15-minute break. We'll take a vote on that. We can also vote on, nope, let's learn resolutions and then take our break. So all in favor of a 10-minute break, please raise your hands. All in favor of a 15-minute break, please raise your hands. All in favor of doing our break later and now learning about resolutions for another 20 minutes. All right, with an overall majority for a 15-minute break. Time right now is 4:53. Let's be back here at 5:08. All right, thank you all. See you all soon.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, now I can hear you. Okay, I just joined because I went on a field trip today. What did you write there? You wrote a sum after the country. What is it?
That's the GDP per capita, Hannah. So if you go to delegatepal.com, I think I'm going to repost it here.
Okay.
So you can check for Indonesia under economy. I mean, you probably did it last week, right? So it's the
I thought it was
GDP.
something else this time because I was like trying to read the other presentation.
I
thought it was something else. Okay, so I'm going to go to delegatepal.com. Thanks.
Sure.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. We're going to start in 1 minute. Hope you're all comfortable. And we're back. All right, very exciting. We're continuing with our class on resolutions, and my camera's not on. And my camera is on. Wonderful. Okay, good to see you all, and excited for us to get working on resolutions. So before we do that, we're going to take a quick roll call because now we're getting very good at that. So we're going to start with Brazil.
Okay, Brazil present and voting. I'm just on my way home, so my camera is off for the next 2 minutes.
All right, well, please turn it on when you can. Canada.
Present and voting.
Chad.
Present and voting.
France.
Present and voting.
Indonesia. Indonesia.
Sorry, present and voting, Daniel.
Wonderful. Japan.
Present and voting.
Jordan.
Present and voting.
Can I open the Saudi Arabia?
Present and voting.
Somalia.
Present and voting.
South Korea.
Present and voting.
Syria.
Present and voting.
Turkey. Turkey.
Present and voting.
United States.
Present and voting.
United Kingdom.
Present and voting.
Wonderful. With all of us here, we now have 14 countries. 8 is a majority. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is learn about resolutions, and then we're going to practice them. And then we're going to go on about our day. So resolutions, structure, content, and how they work. All right, so for MUN resolutions, I'm going to ask participants here to read. We'll go probably according to country and in order. Brazil, please read.
Oh yeah, I cannot read. I'm driving. Sorry.
All right, well, we definitely want you to stay safe. All right, Chad, please read. Chad's not here.
What is a United Nations resolution? A UN resolution is the written formal decision of a UN committee.
Wonderful. So it's the written decision of the committee. Okay, Stephanie, please keep going. Microphone.
Sorry, I have to take a call. Yeah.
All right, next up. Nava, please read. Canada.
What is the United Nations resolution? Resolutions are written decisions made by a UN committee with instructions that the UN committee or member states are supposed to follow.
Wonderful. So resolutions are made up of decisions made in the UN committee. Today are the World Food Program, and we are deciding what to do. Okay, Abir, please read.
Sorry, can you give it to someone else because I have just arrived?
No
I'm so
problem.
sorry.
Okay, Hannah, please read.
What is United Nations resolution? Resolutions allocate people, resources, and money to put towards whatever the UN committee decides needs to be done.
All right, thank you. Japan, please continue.
A draft resolution of MUN combines the written calls to action of multiple delegates who agree or don't disagree on what to do about the issue being discussed.
Okay, now this is very important to convey to students. So like what we see in these slides, the first two are about what resolutions are in the UN. They're a decision taken by the United Nations Committee on what to do and written down. In Model UN, these are the calls to action of our speeches. Now, why are they not the clashes? Because the clash is what we want to do overall without the detail. So when your students write a 3-line call to action or a 4-line call to action, that is with a bit of changing the clause that they're going to write here on the document. And just like when someone hears someone else give the same clash, it's not, oh no, I wanted to say it first. It's great. There's another vote for me. The same idea here. As long as the ideas don't directly contradict, for example, let's give food unconditionally to North Korea, let's give all the food to Yemen, because they can't work together. Unless they directly contradict, everyone can work together. Specifically, ideas who don't disagree. For example, let's say that Michael and I are hanging out in a classroom. I want to order a burger for lunch, and he wants to turn on the air conditioner to 15 degrees. Can we do both?
Yes.
Yeah. Elena, can Michael make the room freezing and I can buy a burger?
We would have to vote, I guess, for the room, but the burger, if.
But if that's what we want, though, can we both do both things?
Yep.
Right. Now, let's say I want the room temperature to be 25 degrees and Michael wants 15 degrees. Can we both get what we want?
No.
Nope. So that's direct contradiction. Now, what now seeing where it falls in between is, let's say Michael wants pizza and I want a burger. Now, maybe we can order, half burgers and half pizza, but neither of us is getting our optimal reality with all the flavors of pizza and all the burger options. So there are groups who can work together. For example, half the food to North Korea and half of it going to Somalia or to Chad. To compromise, Chad and Somalia now will get less food, but both of them agree. So there is space for working. But if someone brings a call to action completely separate from your students' call to action, they can work together best. So if your student says, there's no connection, they want to supervise the foods distribution with drones, and I want China to send in a mediation team. You can do both. You can do both beautifully. So as long as they don't disagree, they can work together. And the more disconnected the ideas are, and by this I mean I can want a freezing classroom and burgers, they can have their ideas together in their purest and strongest form. The second they start stepping into each other's territory, for example, let's have inspectors in 2 months, let's have inspectors, every 4 months, every year, they're going to get their inspectors, but something's got to give. Maybe the one with the 4 months will end up with what they want, but the others won't get their optimal reality to get the majority. So it's important for students. This ties back to something that I said in our second lesson. Everyone can work together as long as there isn't direct disagreement. When our students give speeches that other delegates say the same thing, that's great. If other people have ideas that have nothing to do with the other, that's great. The only challenge is when someone's idea is the exact opposite, then there's a problem. And that's who they can't work with. But except for that's the case, someone already said my idea, good for you. Everyone else in the room have ideas that aren't even resembling mine. And I know I'm on clash. I know my idea is relevant. Great. Then you can definitely work together. Right now, though, it seems that one group in today's committee will not be able to be happy. We don't know which one, but it seems that within, there's a majority in the middle, which may or may not have a majority. They're going to have to go to something. So we're going to see where that goes. Okay, so resolutions. Any questions out there? That was clear. Okay, so basically, if our students say,
sorry.
Yes.
No, I was writing down what you said. Resolutions are not the clashes. Resolutions are they're the
Call to
A or
action.
the how we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is the question?
So my question is, so a resolution, if it's not the clash, it's what? It's the combination of
it's the call to action. CIA, clash, information action. The call to action is how you're going to do your clash. That's the details of your clash. For example, my clash is I want to eat burgers in a freezing classroom. My call to action is I will arrive an hour before class. I will break open the air conditioner. I will mess with the thermostat to go below 18 all the way down to 0 degrees and leave it running for an hour. Okay.
Last week when we voted, it was as if we had resolutions and we voted on those.
Yes, I took your clashes and I wrote them down into some form.
Okay, now it's
so that's and for this week and also maybe a bit of next week, we're going to practice doing it ourselves. But I simplified it so we'd have something to vote on. But this is the process. So this is why having call to action is so important, because a clash is what you want to do, and it is very important, but it doesn't get into details of how it's going to happen. Now, giving the food to North Korea unconditionally in a month generally covers the how. But when we have conditions of, a reduced nuclear program, Marina gave a great breakdown of, I think it was like 50 to 30 to 20 over time, or something like that, right, Japan? So there were some calls to action to give real details of how it's going to be implemented. And for many topics our students have, they're going to need to explain how it's going to work. This is, by the way, why giving students this skill is such a game changer for them. And it's going to reward you in papers and other assignments you give them, because they'll be more clear and to the point. So what's written here, it is what comes after the clash, which is the details of the clash. That's why clash information action is so important, because clash and information, I want us to eat in a freezing classroom, information, students, get tired in the heat, 67 of students in hot classrooms, too hot, lose focus. And then I could say we have to build a school in the North Pole. That could be my how. This is why just because we think that we understand it because we have imaginations and similar frame of reference is not the case. So call to action should be at least 3 sentences of how it's going to be done. And it's not natural for most of us. It wasn't natural for me when I started doing Model UN. It took practice. So I'd say all the more so for our students. But for our job as teachers, it's not to be Model UN experts. It is to be able to identify when their speeches are or are not following the CIA format, and then recommending to them how they can fix it up. And and if they aren't clear, as we see, then there's more work later. Okay, so is that clear? Awesome. Okay, so let's move on. So resolutions in MUN are the calls to action written in the form of clauses. A clause is a specific section within a written binding document, like a UN resolution, but also like a contract. If anyone here has signed on a house or a rental contract or an employment contract and read them, this is the same idea. A clause clearly defines the duties, rights, and privileges of each party. In this case, what the UN committee is going to do in relating to the world. The UN committee commits to giving the food to North Korea in one lump sum shipment over 3 shipments on the condition that something is seen to happen, and so on. Each clause addresses a specific aspect of the overall subject matter. An MUN a clause is written detailing a practical policy. And these policies are separate. So for example, the nuclear reduction clause is different from the if North Korea doesn't follow this, it's going to someone else clause, which is different from the observers clause, which is different from the food has to go to the people clause. These are all separate ideas, but that tie together. So that's the idea. Now, to see what this looks like, a draft resolution format is the following. And you will have the slideshow on the Moodle. Abir, do you have a question? Yes, what is the question?
Yes, I have a question. The resolution which is going to be taken, is it under a study or something students are going to read researches or thinking about it, or just thinking about it?
So,
what is it?
Okay, so there's no one right way to do this. I would say it very much depends on where you see your students at. The slideshows that I'm providing for this course, you saw we have the research on the case study and the material and a guideline of all the different steps. So that's sufficient. This is for cases where you feel your students will be disincentivized, sent to independently research at this stage in the process. If you feel your students can hang a little more, you can have them search their relationship to North Korea, for example. That's like another easy thing to research. So it's for you to choose. On the most basic level, they don't need to do anything. They need to show up, follow these drills, and then go along with that. But you can add more things as you see. Hello, Ronnie. Good to have you with us.
Yes, I just joined for a few minutes because I have to continue with the pedagogical committees. So
well, we're very glad.
We missed you.
Yeah, it wasn't the same without you.
Okay.
Right, Daniel, but I have to leave soon as well because the same reason as Ronnie.
All right, Nava, you need to turn your camera on, by the way.
I'm sorry, but I have to leave in a few
minutes. Listen, if you were here for attendance, and then you were here. Okay, let's. Okay, so this is what a draft resolution format, what it looks like. First of all, the committee name, in our case, the World Food Program, the sponsors, who are the main writers of the document, the supporters, which are signatories, then the topic name, why we're doing it, called preambulatory clauses, how we're going to do it, or operative clauses, and then the details. Okay, I'm not expecting us to remember all of this. Most of this is technical. For example, the committee name, the main writers, supporters, and topic, we already have that. Like if you sit and work together and decide last week, for example, the UK plan, which Michael had some countries who were with him, just write their names. So this part doesn't need to be remembered. The important parts are the preambulatory, what comes before, which is why. That is something, by the way, that we do not say in our speeches and doesn't come up anywhere else in the process. This is the place where framing the problem would come in. For example, recognizing North Korea as a belligerent state with nuclear weapons, or recognizing North Korean people are hungry and need aid, set up very different documents. But this will be the only place to specify the problem. It shouldn't come in our speeches. It takes away valuable time that people know. And how it's going to work, which is our calls to action. So while this may seem alien to us, and it will definitely seem alien to students, you can, first of all, there's, this lecture is recorded. You can, go over the beats, but tell them, like, look at the slide, committee name, we're the World Food Program. Sponsors, who are the main writer? In this case, it was UK, Brazil, and Japan. Who supported this discussion? Turkey, Congo, and France. What is our topic? the distribution of 240,000 tons of food aid. Voila. So even though this looks, it's like saying we don't know, it works. Now, when it's formatted in a beautiful document using, Times New Roman and, all those pretty things, and it's very cool to see that even if the writing isn't, perfect, it can look really nice. It looks something like this: United Nations with, the different beats and the fonts and the letters. And this can be a student writing, but when you format it correctly and make it all the same size, looks pretty good. But I'd like us to focus on the content for a second. Can we all read what it says here?
Can you enlarge it a little bit?
I can. Okay, so what we have here is a draft resolution from a class from the teachers training professional development I did during, I think, the first or second lockdown. And we made a resolution on camera use in classrooms. So I'd like Hannah to please read us the draft going all the way through, and we'll see how what we just learned, one second, sorry, comes into play over here. Okay, so please start, Hannah, from the top. Hannah, your microphone, please. Hannah, Indonesia. You're on mute. Oh, you're on the phone. Okay. Boy. Okay, that's be some way that people can let me know that they're not available to read. Okay, who is available to read?
You're dealing with teachers.
I am.
I
Okay.
can read, Daniel. It's fine. I can read it. Sorry.
Okay.
This slide, you want me to read this slide, the one that it's there on the
Yes,
screen?
yeah. Is it start with Israeli speak committee name?
Yeah, okay. Israeli Teachers Special Committee on Technology. Oh, this is an example of what you said, the
Exactly. It's an
resolution.
example as far as content.
Yeah, because I know that I was late, so I was reading the presentation, the resolution presentation on the bus. So I'm prepared.
Really?
Sorry.
Good for you. This should be a. Okay,
No.
I
I wanted to be with you from 4 o'clock.
Okay, let's
Okay,
go through it.
sponsors, let's say it's Amalia, David, Narkis, Sima, and
Not
Shen.
let's say, these are the sponsors.
These are the sponsors. Okay, signatories, Ben, Cameron, Leon, and Peter.
You see that they're both alphabetical.
Yeah. Oh, so it has to be alphabetical.
Yes.
Okay.
Topic?
Topic, mandatory use of cameras in class.
Okay, so see how clear it is. Even though this is use of people in real life, we see there is the sponsors. One second, I'll make here. So the committee name, sponsors, signatories, topic. So when you show this to your students, and it may seem like gibberish, you say, look, this simple. Okay, let's keep going.
Okay.
So now we're going to the clauses. When there's a number, it's an operative clause. Number means it's how we're going to do it. When there are no numbers, it's a preamble for why. Okay, I'm going to talk about more of this in a second. I just want to see the example first. All right.
Okay, so we said that the topic, recognizing how students learn less with cameras off during classes. Deeply alarmed by how often parents clean their children's room during lessons.
Okay, so great. These are two reasons for why we're adopting this policy. All right, let's continue now with how.
Okay. One, should I say one? Or
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, one. Always read
One.
the numbers. It helps clarify when something ends and when another one begins.
Okay. One, decides that students must have their cameras on for A, beginning of class, B, end of class, C, when presenting.
Keep going.
Okay, I agree with this. Okay. Two, recommends that students should have cameras on for the entire class. Three, accepts students can have cameras off, A, when doing classwork. And where's the B? There's no B here.
What's written is written.
Okay. Four, reaffirm students can have cameras off with teacher's permission when A, mother is cleaning, B, when eating, C, when dog or sibling is hanging out, and D, when student is still in bed.
Okay. So this is pretty much what we came up with during the simulation in class. So teachers like ourselves came up with this draft. Oh, actually, sorry, there's, okay, 5 students who do not meet the camera criteria of clauses 1 to 4 will be counted as absent. 6 decides to remain seized on the matter. And then everyone thought it was really funny that in our Hishtongo, we didn't even abide by half these rules, but, you know. So we see here that this is a resolution. This is a resolution with why and how and all the different details, and it's pretty straightforward and clear. And when your students explain how the call to action is going to work, this is what happens. So now I want to talk a little bit about operative clauses, because the preambulatory for why is usually not given so much focus for high school MUN, and it's secondary to what we're going to do. So why we're going to do it usually comes down to 3 types of preambulatory clauses: information on the case, a legal right of some kind, and supporting material. Okay, so you can find this if your students are in advanced enough rooms to deal with it. But what's more important is how it's going to work. And with operative clauses of what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. So the calls to action for your students need to solve the problem, fit the country's goals, potentially reach a majority. Where have we seen this before? This is our clash. These are the rules of our clash. It's our clash needs to fit our country's goals, potentially have a majority, and so on. The clauses should be clear, concise, committing, smart. If you remember, SMART was the acronym we had in the slideshow, which you can use if you want to, which is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. It's also in the slideshow if you'd like to use it. Let's see an example of an operative clause. Okay, decides that the DPRK, Democratic People's Republic of Korea, should not sell seafood, and that UN member states shall prohibit the procurement, which is purchase of seafood, from North Korea by their nationals. Okay, this is a clause from a UN resolution. As simple, they use the word procurement, which we don't usually use in class, but the idea here is the same. And whether you see this in a longer or shorter version, this is a good example of saying we should not buy seafood from this country. This is a decision made by, in this case, the Security Council. Now, this can be broken down into subclauses. For example, decides that the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, shall not supply, sell, or transfer directly or indirectly from its territory or by its nationals, you know, using flag vessels or aircraft. You can see how a discussion between students to come up with all the different contingencies. The following seafood items: fish, crustaceans, mollusks, and so on. So you can say, don't buy food from North Korea. You can break it down with more details, but the idea behind it is the same. This is how we're going to do what we want, which is in this case, not trade with North Korea. Yes, Michael.
Yeah, thank you. I was wondering, it's supposed to be enforceable, right? Because it's called operative, but this is like directly enforceable, because it might be a bit unclear, no? Or because when we say it is not going to sell, what does that mean? It means that companies from our countries are going to be banned from, how does it work, like internally within it?
So there are 2 aspects of it. So this is already getting to United Nations technical policy, but the answer is that when the UN and the Security Council pass something, it is supposed to be binding and supported by all of its member states.
Is it automatic, or is it like a process of application?
This is where the UN has a delicate dance of not demanding things of countries that the countries can't do. For example, one of the permanent 5 members, if one of their generals was put on a trial for war crimes, they probably wouldn't comply. So the UN needs to be willing to do what its member states will deal with. A very good example, by the way, of United Nations executive action is after September 11th, where the United States passed a list of people who they considered problematic after the attacks. And these people across the world could not access their bank accounts and had many limitations placed on them. So the UN, when it passes it like this, theoretically all countries do it. How much they do it, is scalable, and that's something which depends. But they are supposed to follow something that the UN decides. And that's why the Security Council has the permanent 5 members and veto and so on. But when there is a decision to do something and the world agrees, then there is supposed to be follow-up and compliance. Okay, so this is, so going over again, clash, information, action. We see now where the call to action comes into play. It's nice to say it in your speech. It is ideal to clearly explain how you're going to do it. But even if you don't get it completely there, you need to be ready to write it. So what we're going to do right now, we have a little resolution drill. We're going to be continuing our discussion from last week, this time with the purpose of writing our ideas into clauses. Okay, I'm going to be opening 2 breakout rooms, with this being the 3rd breakout room. You're going to be allocated at random. Okay, and you can move to whichever room you would like. Okay, now what's, one second. Okay, so we're going to,
how can we move to any
you click on breakout rooms. Actually, one second, let's create.
I have a question regarding the presentation that you are showing during this lesson. So it's not on Moodle yet.
Yeah, this I realized that I'll be putting it up after class.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I normally do it before, but thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so 1 second. Flora, can you please rename yourself your country?
I'm connected between 2 computer and my cell phone. I'm having problems, so.
Okay, so we
I'm
are
still
going,
USA. I'm just connected with the other.
okay, so we're going to go into breakout rooms now for 10 minutes. You have, just as before, the options to move between rooms. Okay, so I'm saying again, to find those you want to work with and start working on the draft. The goal is to write down your calls to action together. Just make sure they're numbered different things, and whatever we produce, we produce. All right, so the time now is 5:44. We are going to be finishing with the option of extension at 5:55, and then we're going to re-meet here. If we see it's going well, we can add an extra 5 minutes of extension. We'll probably be going until 6:15 today. The goal of this exercise is for us to try to write down our ideas and to get a majority. So be ready to jump rooms. If you have trouble jumping rooms, click on breakout room and click the room you want. This is room 0. Okay. We have also, I'd say this is room 1. And in the breakout rooms, you have rooms 2 and room 3. Okay, so hopefully that is, someone disappeared. All right, let's assign someone else to here. All right.
Daniel, sorry, where do I see the breakout?
Okay, so I have now opened the breakout rooms.
Okay.
So this is room 1. If you don't see a breakout room and you weren't assigned, stay here and start talking.
Okay, so if we don't see the room, we should stay here.
You started, you can go wherever you want, but this is your initial group. So first of all, South Korea, you're supposed to go to room 3 for starters, and Flora's in USA. Wonderful. Okay, so you're all here. Talk.
Okay. So Laura, I remember you from last time because I think we agreed on something already. Okay, so
now I'm connected between 2 rooms. I'm with room 2 and room 3.
Wow.
Yeah, my internet. So I'm connected with my computer right now, and then I'm connected from my cell phone in room 3. So if you
Daniel, how do I switch room, please?
If you didn't see yourself assigned, you can stay here and you can go wherever you want, whenever you want. You're all welcome to move between the
so
rooms.
I'll go to room
How do I
3.
do that? How do I to another room?
Do you want to, you click on breakout rooms and then you pick the room you want to go to.
Breakout, where do I see breakout?
It doesn't appear, like it doesn't show up this
On
option.
the bar on the bottom.
No,
Click on
no,
the
No,
three
no,
dots.
Daniel, if you're inviting me to join room 3, I should go. Can I stay here?
You can do whatever you want. You can stay here.
Okay, so I'm here.
I don't see any way to move because I know this.
I,
room-
we all, I also don't see, actually, I have no option to move to.
Yeah, sure.
But that's okay.
Hi, Gally. It's Jason.
Hi.
Jason!
Hello. Hi, everyone else. Nice to see you. Tell the kids I said hi. I told some good stories about Sapir.
Oh, wonderful. You're going to be there on the 28th?
I wish. I started. Maybe.
Not over now. You're disturbing an unmod. Okay. Okay. Start
Jason's
negotiating.
fault.
Okay, so would
Okay.
you, yeah.
So, Turkey votes that half the food should go to North Korea on condition that they stop nuclear testing, and the other half should go to Somalia. And if North Korea does not cease nuclear testing, all the food should go to Somalia. Now, if I remember correctly, hold on, I have this flowchart. France is here.
Sorry, how do we move to another break room?
We don't. We're stuck here.
Turkey,
I
I
need
remember
Somalia
agreeing with
here.
your idea, remember?
And where's
I-
Canada? She's left.
Well, Canada left.
So Chad is here and South Korea is here. I don't understand Canada and Somalia. Why
So
they-
is there anyone else here who
Who is Roya?
willing to give the food to North Korea on condition, and if not, then like to Somalia? And in any case, we would like half the food to go to Somalia in any case. So it's either. Jordan, are you with us here?
Yes, yes, I
Yay,
remember.
okay.
I remember I wanted all the food to go to Somalia and give nothing to North Korea as a rule, but I'm willing to compromise and give half to North Korea with conditions and the rest to Somalia anyway, unconditional.
Okay.
That would be my motion here.
So I'm writing that down here.
But Syria, Chad, and another one has
What
left.
about-
Okay, Stephanie, we have to move to the other room, I think. I don't know how. But we were talking about giving the food unconditionally, and Stephanie, you said half to you and half to North Korea unconditionally.
Yeah,
But you're the only one here, Steph.
I know.
So you say
I would
half?
have to compromise. That's
But-
what you're saying?
No way. איך יוצאים מפה?
יש לך, מה יש פה? Leave.
I don't have breakout rooms. I just have to wait for others to join. What about France?
I'm sorry that I have some sounds around me because I'm with my kids in their training. But I see that half of the food to North Korea and half to Somalia.
Yeah. Okay. So that's 3 of us so far. And I think USA was also with us, but I just can't reach them now because I can't move to.
They're in a
breakout
different
room.
breakout room.
So
I don't know how
Along
to-
with Japan. USA is along with Japan right now in a different breakout room.
Okay. I don't know how, I can't get to the breakout rooms. I don't see them.
Me neither.
Okay,
So,
so.
Danielle.
And
Question is,
so
what are we
I'm
supposed to
stuck
do now?
because
אולי
I
למטה יש
Brazil and right and Syria, you want to give the food unconditionally.
Yes.
Yes, we are open. to
We
giving
have
the food.
actually nothing to talk about, and now I'm kind of stuck.
Yeah.
I can't leave this room, and I can't reach the others. So
Brazil, what are you saying? To send the food unconditionally?
We can, or maybe they can change your minds. You know, they can.
Yeah,
They
yes,
can
you can
convince
change your
us.
minds, definitely.
Otherwise,
so Brazil will give it a shot, and because we do not want to give the food unconditionally. We would like to give them 50% of the food to North Korea on condition that they stop nuclear testing. Because if they have money to build whatever, to produce nuclear weapons, they should be able to feed their people.
Right.
And we are also willing to help with that, but
On condition they stop the
they must
nuclear
then-
experiments. Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
then-
your condition is that they stop immediately, or do you have a plan?
They should stop testing immediately, and they should hold on, I'm thinking about that. No, stop testing immediately, because this is something that can be done immediately. And then we want them to and basically stop production of nuclear weapons. We don't.
Or maybe reduce the development of the nuclear.
Okay, reduce to what?
So I suggest whoever's writing, screen share this with everyone else so you can see it
Okay.
and be on the same page.
All right.
Ah,
We're
okay.
not on the same page. We're just stuck
Oh,
here.
we should
It's
literally be
okay,
on-
maybe
We're
we
just
can.
stuck here, Daniel. We can't
Yes,
move.
we're-
We don't know how.
You don't know how to share
We
a
can't
screen?
leave
There
to
we
another
go.
No,
breakout
I know how to share a screen. We don't know how to move to the other break room because
Okay.
this one is not ours, definitely.
Well, click on, you can click, who wants to move? I'll move you.
Stephanie, Natalie,
Where do you want to go?
to someone who agrees with me.
With Canada and South Korea.
I think Canada's not here anymore, but South
No, she's
Korea.
left.
And we would like USA at Japan.
Well, one of you can go talk to them and then decide. Okay, I offered Natalie to move.
Stephanie.
All right, so I'm going to bring everyone back
Okay.
in like a minute. So try to be writing whatever you're going to be writing. We'll take another minute to wrap up. You'll need, if you can join me in room, you can jump rooms, right? So come to room.
Which room?
How can I know where Syria is?
I don't know what we should be writing. Hold on. Let's say half food to North Korea on condition that, what were the conditions that you guys wanted?
To stop the production.
Stop, okay, nuclear testing and reduce production,
Yeah.
reduce production. Something, do we have like something more concrete?
Reduce production within the next 3 months.
Reduce to what?
I would, to nothing. I was against giving them anything anyway until they completely stop with nuclear experiments.
Exactly.
Or production.
Okay. So stop nuclear testing immediately.
Why not stop production? I mean, why not? We can.
I'm
I think
for.
we should stop that. What do you say?
Others?
Stop nuclear production. Why not?
Okay, wait, I'm gonna write the countries here. Jordan is, and who else? I don't want to.
France.
France, right?
Does anyone have any objection for us to put this as a condition for them to stop production?
To stop the production, not
Brazil?
to reduce, yes.
Right?
But shouldn't you have a timeline? I remember someone else had a very clear plan that, by the next, within the next 3 months and 6 months and a year.
Maybe we can say reduce production to full stop within and
Well, I think that they should stop production
contradiction.
immediately and then maybe also like get rid of the weapons that they have gradually.
Within 6 months. Okay, so get rid of all the weapons that they do have within 6 months.
But do you think that we're going to have a contradiction between the first one and the second one? Ah, okay, so stop. Okay, that's fine.
We okay? Should I keep writing?
Yeah, okay.
Correct
Yes,
me. Okay, so what is the third one? To reduce? what's the word I'm looking for?
Reduce, what are we reducing?
The
Hello,
amount of
everyone.
weapons they
Welcome
have, but I'm
back.
looking for a good way to phrase that.
Okay, so
Weapon.
we're back in the main room. I'm gonna open breakout rooms again.
Ammunition.
This time people can choose their breakout room if they want to go. And in addition to choosing your own breakout room, we're also going to have a room for the MUN club. Yonit, if you can stay here and assign people who come into club, that would be great. By the way, we have the honor of having Yonit, the coach of MUN, our online MUN club, here with us. So if you have students who you'd like to have start practicing with MUN, the online club meets every week and is free for students under the tutelage of Yonit. All right, so Yonit, the club room is open. You can admit your students and move them there.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm waiting for those.
All right, so for everyone who is here, please finish up your draft writing and we're going to review them. So do you have is everyone the same group here?
No.
We have nothing, Daniel. It's too complicated when it's randomly done.
You can choose to move. Okay, so I see.
I couldn't
No,
move.
I couldn't either. Now I can, but before I couldn't.
All right, so that's a software error. We'll work on it next time. Okay, I will next class. Hopefully, we'll start from the beginning with being able to move rooms or pick our rooms.
Okay, so what should we do right now?
Right
here or go
now,
somewhere?
I would say wrap up what you have that you're writing here.
Okay.
And I will bring everybody back and we'll wrap
All
up.
right, so I'm going to share my screen and we have a very initial draft. Okay, USA, have you changed your mind or can I add you here, Flora?
I just moved to your room, so if you could tell me what happened.
Oh,
'Cause
great.
last
Yeah,
time-
you moved to us. So we have been discussing the conditions under which we would give North
Yes,
Korea.
yes, I do agree with you. I just saw what you've wrote. Yes, yeah.
Perhaps reduce existing weapons.
Thank you.
I'm with, I'm in, yes. I do agree with you.
Within 6
Existing
months.
weapons by.
Within 6 months by 20%, 50%, I don't know.
I'll go for 50.
Fine.
50.
I'd go for 100.
I don't understand.
we
Actually,
started-
whenever we write like 6 months or something like this, does that mean that no one gets the food for 6 months? Because I always think that's weird somehow.
Yeah, because that food is not around.
Like that food is not going to wait there.
You're right.
Food is not going to wait there. That is correct.
So
why did someone say that we need a timeline? Then the conditions are immediate.
Immediately. This is
So,
my
yeah.
timeline. Now or
But
never.
you can't immediately reduce your existing.
No,
weapon.
no. But I would take this off.
Maybe 100% is better. We can say 50% within 3 months and 100% in 3 months.
But maybe we can give them 50% of the 50%, meaning 25%. And after 6 months, we can give them the
That's
rest.
never gonna
But we're
happen.
giving half of the food to
Right, if they
Somalia.
keep their conditions, then they get the rest of the food.
But they
It
will
is a
not
good-
accept. They've never accepted to reduce their I think their nuclear weapons. I mean, I don't want to be like the party pooper, but
No. I think you're right. But then it means that all the food goes to Somalia because that's a condition. Unless they meet our conditions, they get nothing. And if they do meet our conditions, they get 50% of the food. The rest goes automatically to Somalia. See? So there is a condition here, which we know
Who
they
am I
might not
adding you here?
accept.
Who else should I add here?
is it considered, Daniel? Is it considered off clash if we know for starters that North Korea will never accept a condition or?
Not at all. There's well, first of all, it's the country's will to decide. If you can persuade them North Korea won't listen, then that's to your credit, but it's an argument point.
Okay.
Like MUN is based in reality is the reality that the participants agree on. Okay, so as we can see here, with our lovely draft, this is a very good example of what we're supposed to be working on. So let's have what's it called? Let's turn this into what we know the MUN format is supposed to be. So let's follow the rules that we've had so far. Who's a writer here?
Me. Turkey.
Turkey. Okay, so Turkey. Let's start with what committee are we? Let's start with committee.
World Food Program, right?
World Food Program. Excellent. So we're the World Food Program. So let's start with that. First, write World Food Program.
Okay.
Sponsors are the main writers who completely back the content. So I would put those. If there's any country who agrees with this, that would be a signatory. Okay, so let's see. Are there any signatories?
It's Somalia. I'm here with you.
Yay, Somalia.
Good.
No, you can't have more than. Okay, I'm capping you on 4 sponsors. Someone needs to be a signatory.
Ah.
I'm going to be a signatory because during the last lesson, when you put us in breakout rooms, Japan was with Turkey and USA and I think someone else.
You're not obligated to last time's committee.
No, but we worked very, very good and we shared the vision.
Okay, so I will say this, the reason it doesn't make sense that so many countries would be a sponsor on a bill. So usually the conference has a cap of how many can be sponsors, and then they have to figure out for themselves who's going to be a sponsor or signatory. So I'm going to limit us at 4 sponsors. So Turkey, who's a signatory? Japan offered to be one, but she's not currently a sponsor. So move 1 to be a signatory. Who do you choose?
USA.
Great. Move USA. So USA wants to fight for a sponsorship. She can do so. Okay, so move USA.
Wait,
and
no,
Japan.
once again. I think I don't understand. Please.
Signatory, right? Signatory.
Yes, but what is
what's the difference?
So the sponsor is generally a main contributor to the document who stands completely behind or mostly behind the content and did the writing. A signatory.
No, so I want the USA.
Idea. What?
So I want USA there.
Then I am limiting you to 4 sponsors. Like I'm saying, given the size of our committee, I don't believe everyone here is.
But let's say I move Somalia to signatory. That's ridiculous because we want to give them half the food.
It doesn't matter. Did they
No, but
write
they
the
didn't
bill?
write the document. They didn't
No,
write
they
the
didn't.
document. It's just that.
Okay.
Listen, there can be all sorts of horse trading, but okay, put Japan as well as a signatory. Japan wants to be so. Japan first. Okay, now let's make it alphabetical. Sponsors and signatory.
Somalia as a sorry, how can she put Somalia as a signatory when Somalia wants to give the food to North Korea unconditionally?
Somalia chose to be. So that thing, Somalia, first of all, just being on it as a sponsor or signatory does not obligate anyone to vote for this document. Your vote is separate from you being on the pages. That's why a signatory can be willing to see it discussed. That can be enough for a signatory. So this is why signing on a document doesn't always guarantee the vote. It simply means this is who would like it. Like sponsors usually support the document because they wrote it. Signatories can want to see it discussed. Somalia can sign on this so they have the minimum for the document to be discussed and then vote against it. Okay, so let's go. So we have sponsors and signatories. Let's now write clauses. So first of all, please write number 1 before half.
So all the conditions should come before half?
No, half is 1. 1 is half. This is
okay,
half
sorry.
the food to North Korea. Okay, so now the 2, so put in front of it and do tab because the 2, 3, 4 are A, B, C subclauses.
Okay.
So
hold on. I'll do that.
just click tab. No, click. Okay, that's another way to do it. Very good. Whatever way you know.
Fine.
All right. Wonderful. Okay. For the, okay, if
And then
not,
this is 2?
that'd be 2. Like if, all right, that would be D. No, it's D. It's still part of the previous clause because it's connected
Why?
to the conditions.
It's not part of the condition.
If A through C are not followed, the food goes to Somalia. If, for example, a clause says 50% of food goes to Somalia, 50% of food goes to Chad, those can exist independently. But here, the food, what is the rest of the food? The clause has to
No,
completely.
this is, in any case, 50% of the food goes to Somalia.
Okay. Oh, then
And
your
if-
D would be,
then
if
D will
not
be
100%.
100%.
Very nice. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so now looking at this, we do have one question that we're left with, which is clause 1 is a conditional, clause 2 is a definite. So what happens to, actually, wait, I think this works. Yep, no, very nice. Okay, so we see here a resolution written before our eyes, following the resolution criteria. We have the committee name, we have the sponsors who will assume are the main writers. We have the signatories who support the discussion, and then we have our first clause. Let's have our writer, Turkey, please read us the draft resolution that we have.
Okay, World Food Program, sponsors France, Jordan, Turkey, USA, signatory Japan, Somalia. Nothing comes after that, just number 1?
Theoretically, you'd have preambulatory clauses which explain what why we're doing this, but we're not going to get into that right now.
Okay.
Why people are starving, why
Okay.
North Korea. So
One
read the
has-
operative clauses. This is what we're voting on. This is draft resolution 1.
Yeah. Sorry, Daniel. What about Indonesia?
Would you like to be a signatory?
Yeah.
All right. Well, tell alphabetical.
Alphabetically. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, so signatory Indonesia, Japan, Somalia. 1, half the food will go to North Korea on condition they stop nuclear testing immediately, stop production of nuclear weapons immediately. C, reduce existing weapons by 50% within 6 months. Okay, and D, 100% of the
If
food
not,
goes. Okay,
not,
so if these conditions, should I add, like, if these conditions are
if
not
A
met?
through C not met, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
that's-
If A to C are not met, 100% of the food goes to Somalia. 2, 50% of the food will go to Somalia.
Unconditionally.
Unconditionally?
Think so?
Yeah, unconditionally. That's good.
All
That's
right.
good. Yeah.
So
We made
first
it.
of all, we're quite, so we see here that this is not, even though we're dealing with nuclear rockets, it's not rocket science. And this draft was pulled up in front of us. So we're now going to, can someone give me a motion to close debate? Motion is how we ask to close debate and start to vote. Can I have a motion to close debate, please? Anyone, just say motion to close debate.
Motion to close debate.
All right, Turkey motions to close debate. Are there any seconds? Anyone supporting us closing debate and voting?
I second.
All right,
I
any
second.
objections?
Motion to close debate.
Any objections?
No objection.
All right, so all in favor of closing debate, please raise your hands. All right, very nice. So we have pretty much outstanding majority here. We're now going to vote on this document. We're going to do roll call vote. That means we call each other out one at a time and we see our vote. This is going to be alphabetical. So please make sure to be aware when you are going to be called. All right. So without further ado, say if you're for or against draft resolution 1 that we wrote together here and understand the contents. If this is not written and this fails, then it doesn't pass and the food will just sit there which is also sometimes better than some of the alternatives. Okay, so it's funny, given that Somalia wants food to go to North Korea, that Somalia could be the big winner, but maybe not. By the way, is there any other idea or draft that's on the floor at this time? Does anyone else have a draft that's ready? Nope. All right. So for next week, we'll already work on that. Okay. So let's start with Brazil. For or against?
For. I changed my mind. So.
Okay. Chad. For or against? Chad's not here. China. Sorry, not China. Who's the other C country? Canada, also not here. Okay, let's keep going. France.
For.
Japan.
For.
Jordan.
For.
Somalia.
For.
Syria.
Against.
Saudi Arabia.
For.
What?
For.
4. Okay, South Korea.
I don't think that North Korea will agree to reduce everything.
South Korea, are you for or against this document? That's what we're talking about now.
Okay.
For?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Turkey.
For.
USA.
For.
UK.
Against.
Against. All right. With 9 in favor and 2 against, draft resolution 1 passes.
Yay.
All right. Good job, everyone. That was really, really good. So we see here. So first of all, I want to say great job, especially because we couldn't move rooms, which next time we'll start with next week with us actually be able to move rooms, which is how it should work. So I apologize for the technical Zoom not set up. This is part of how things work with technology, but really good job. And we saw how this United Nations resolution that did not seem accessible 2 hours ago is something we now watched the writing in front of us, understood how it tied in and connected. And this, by the way, for a chair, the judge of the Model UN room, this is where we now weigh the votes of the countries versus what they originally said. If someone who wanted the food to go to North Korea unconditionally voted for this document, there is merit to do so. But for someone who said that a country which is not Somalia or North Korea should get the food, this document does not support their position, and voting against it makes sense. Also, those who support North Korea unconditionally, it's only because this was the only draft. I would have expected or hoped to see one that showed it more strongly, because this has North Korea getting from half the food to no food. However, we're working with what we have. And this very much is I'd say the end. Like, we can give, all sorts of analyses and predictions and grandstanding in our opening statement. But in the end, it comes down to discussion. It comes down to who bothered to write and who got their ideas there. And we see it becomes much more real. And this, by the way, is the most real life element of the whole thing. No one can make any of you vote for anything. You can choose to be in or out. You can choose to write or not write, but no one can force you. Your vote is your own, and your speech guarantees nothing. It's actually writing it down. And we see here, this is something that our students could write. It was simple English. It was very clear, and we got the idea. We know who gets the food initially, and we know who's going to get the food at the next step. And this is great. This is exactly what we want from a Model UN simulation. This is exactly what we want from the, what we have from our students. Some simple ideas, or even elaborate ideas in very simple words, clear instructions, and make sure the food is not left hanging. And in that, everyone here did a great job. And if we understood the text that Yafit wrote, whether voting for it or against it, whatever our reasons are, we see that this is how the process comes. We talk about it, we find those to work with, we join in a group, and then we vote on it at the end. So I want to sum up what it is that we saw today. Hopefully my share screen is going to share what it's supposed to. No, it's supposed to be section of the screen. Advanced, here we go. No. Why is that? All right, let's go with section portion of the screen. Here we go. Okay, so we see here, this is how the unmoderated caucus works, where we talk with others, we start to write down our ideas, and then it becomes a working paper. A working paper is the draft before the chair approves of the text, before the teacher approves of the text, and this is your place to go over and say, hey, you didn't say where the food is going. This makes no sense. A little more details, please. So there is a step to review the documents, first as educators, and then later the judges in the Model UN conference will review the documents. Then they become draft resolutions that are recognized and voted on in voting procedure at the end. So today, what we saw was how our opening statement ideas moved in to the unmods, the working papers, and the process. Now we are much more familiar, understand reaching the vote. Okay, for next week, we're going to start next week off with a bit more writing practice and familiarizing ourselves with this process, and being able to actually move rooms so we can see how negotiation works when you're not accidentally locked in the same software room, but you actually have the ability to move around and really find those you agree with, and then come with a group of 4 and saying, hey, we have a document, we have 4 votes, work with us, let's see where that goes, which is something you would not have been able to do otherwise. Okay, so that's resolutions. And hopefully this now closes for us the understanding of the process our students go for, from preparing the opening speech to the process of speaking and informally speaking and writing things down and voting at the end. For next week, we're going to continue and work a little more on the resolutions, and then we'll learn about how we should guide our students to research for this. Because now that we know what we're doing and what we're aiming towards, a clash of what we want to do and call to action, which is the details of how we're going to do it. Once we do that, we're able to much more effectively guide our students on what to research for all of these things. Okay, so are there any questions for everyone at this time? All right, so everyone, you were really great today. I feel we learned a lot. We had some fun, and you're all dismissed. And we'll see you all next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Good night. Bye.